once they are logged into the app, they will be taken to the screen where they would require to select the tractor or trailer. They just click on the select tractor and it will show them the list of tractors that are available in the system. They can also use the search bar to search for the required one. If they are not able to find that tractor in that list, they can also go ahead and create one by clicking on the plus sign on top. And once they are satisfied with their selection, they can just select that tractor. They can also do the same thing with the trailer. They can select a couple of trailers at the same time. Once that's done, they would be required to enter the dashboard odometers, and then once they will brought to the next screen, this is where driver will click on scan to select the tractor or select the ECM device that's currently installed in the truck. This is how the home screen would look like. It includes hours for driven, on shift, and on cycle. If driver need to now go on duty, they would just click on one of those statuses. So in this case, I'm clicking on the on duty status. And once you confirm that, it will ask you to put any remarks. So driver can do a pre-trip. If they're doing any loading, then they would just select that. If they need to put any remarks, they can also put it under other. And once they hit OK, currently I'm getting this missing information pop up. It's because I'm not connected, but if the drivers are connected, the odometer value will be automatically taken, so they wouldn't require to put any odometer information in this. If there were any violations that they are reaching, it will remind them, or it will tell them that they would require to take the off time or any violations if they're reaching. Also, it will also remind them to do a pre-trip inspection report. So it will say, please remember to do the inspection report. It's basically notification for driver to remember to do it. If they are reaching a violation in any period of time, it will give them the countdown, and also it will going to have those green dots that you're seeing in red color. That means they're approaching any violations. Also, if they're pulled over by DOT officers, they would have to click on the DOT officer icon that you're seeing, and it will bring you to this page where it will have the logs for the driver. It will similarly either will allow them to show the logs to the officer through the PDF, or they can email those directly to the officer. And again, this page is password protected, and this password would be the same as driver uses for their credentials. This is the page that driver will get when they have selected or chosen their ELD device, and it will do a test for all the available diagnostics. Once it's done, in driver case, it will going to turn green, and once all the tests are passed, they would go ahead and click on continue. Currently, you are seeing on top right Bluetooth sign and the vehicle sign. Both of them are turned red. It's because we're not connected, but in the driver cases, it should always be green. If one of those goes red, then driver should go ahead and scan the devices again by clicking on the hamburger menu on the top left, and by clicking on the scan devices, and it will bring them back to the page where they can scan the device again and then do the test that we saw earlier. Coming up next is the DVIR report. So again, it's just the inspection report. You can also just download the ones that are already available, or we can just generate one by clicking on the right hand side plus sign. And for Canada, I would be selecting schedule 1. It will come up with all the list that driver has to go through, and they would only require to sign the ones that are defective. So any items that are defective is only when drivers will going to sign those. And once they have gone through all this, they can go into inspection info on the right, and again it will ask them to put the odometer. If they needed to put any remarks into the report, they can also write those up as a comment. Then it will be asked if there were any defects found, if the vehicle's condition is satisfactory. They would just select that, and they would also require to put the location in. If there were any defects corrected, it will also ask for the mechanic's signature. So in this case, it will require you to still, or driver would still require to sign this report. And then the carrier name, And then once they hit save, you'll now be able to upload this report. There is also a camera sign that you're seeing at the bottom. It basically just allows drivers to take a photograph of either any documents that they would want or any truck images that they would like to take. They can take it from here, and once all the report is correctly done, they would just click on that cloud sign, and either it will allow them to upload it in English or in French. In this case, I'm just going to say English, and it will just again ask if we would like to save it. Once we confirm, it will generate this report. It includes all the information such as carrier name, their carrier address, their home base address, their locations, the date and the time when this was conducted. If you go down at the bottom, it will have those two signs that we did for carrier and for the driver. The other driver who would be joining the primary driver would be logging in here from the primary driver's phone, and they can then put themselves on passenger or on duty status. And both of their drivers' logs will be also generated differently, but it will still have a same truck number information, and it also mentions that they were doing a team driving or co-driving. Next to that, there is a driver profile that driver may need to use sometimes when they're crossing the border. So if they're going to US or Mexico, they would have to come in here and change their rule sets. So they would be just clicking on the rule set, and then they would be able to just select the one that they would like and then click on done and save, and that will update their information or update their rule set. There is also a logbook so that drivers can see their logs. They can also click on this date picker, and they can select the date that they want. Once click saved, they're going to show the logs. They can also edit the logs by clicking on the pencil icon at the top, and they would be able to select the different duty statuses, and they would require to put the remark in and then confirm the change. Once they do this, then the logs will be updated, wherein if we are doing it from the admin portal, when we request a log edit, driver would going to receive a notification saying there has been a log change requested. Would you like to accept or reject? And driver in those cases would going to have to accept for the log to update. But again, driver can also just click on show logs, and it will show their log for the day that they selected. They can also export it, so they can either send it by email, or they can also view by the PDF within the app itself, and also can share it. So if there were any logs sitting uncertified, usually driver do get notified at the end of their shift to certify all their logs. But in any cases, if that was not being done, they can come here under certify logs tab, and they'll be able to certify the logs. They can either just select all and click on certify, and it will certify all those previous logs that were sitting uncertified. And if they're approaching any violations, they're going to show it here. So in this case that you're seeing, the driver are currently having 3 violations. So it will list you the kind of violations that driver has approached and the date and the time when this happened. This is how they'll be able to find out if they had any violations in any past days. If there weren't any violations, it will just say it's 0 violation, and it will be in green color rather than in red. Currently you're seeing it's empty. I will going to show you in the admin portal that you can create notifications for drivers, and anytime you want them to remind either HOS violations, or if it's related to any DVIR report that they forgot to do for pre-trip, you can notify them, and those notifications would be appearing in here. It's one of the optional kind of feature, but it's still useful, as in rather than keeping up paper documents with the shipments, they can just have this handy through their app, and fleet managers can also access it through the admin portal. So it's useful both ways. They would just have to put in the shipper information, any remarks that they would like, estimated pickup time, delivery time, and any notes that they would like. And once they hit on save, it will create a shipment for them, which can be also accessed through the admin portal. if there is any latest firmware available or latest version of the app available, driver can come in here and click on update, and they'll be able to update their app or upgrade their version of the app directly from the apps, and they wouldn't require to go to App Store or Play Store to do this. While we are in the portal, we can create the drivers by going under Drivers tab and clicking on New. You just need to enter the first and last name of the driver and hit OK. Once the driver is created in the system, we can head over to Apps and click on HOS to access the admin portal. So the first icon that you're seeing, it basically covers the information for the carrier. So it has the DOT number, carrier name, their address, and their carrier country. The next one here has the information for the drivers. By clicking on the eyes icon here, you'll be able to see their detail, username, passwords. If they forgot the password, if you needed to reset it, you would just come up here and reset the password for them. There are rule sets that you can choose from for a driver. And there is also a personal use and yard move. So if you don't want driver to use any of this feature, you can just restrict that. And if you want them to use these features or statuses, then you can just enable those and they'll be able to access those. If you don't want them to take any DVIR photo, you can also uncheck that and they won't get an option to take photo while doing the DVIR. Also, there are some cases when that driver gets notifications saying you're logged on to the different device and you didn't log out. So over to those cases, you can use the sign that's called unlock, and that will basically going to log them out of the different device, and they should be able to now log into another device if they forgot to log out from their old device. So if the company has more than one branches and they would like to create any sub branch, you can just go ahead and click on new, and you would just require to put the location name, subcarrier name, and their address information. Then once that's created, the drivers moving to a different branch is getting transferred, then you can also assign them to a different branch. The next one here is the list of the vehicles or list of assets. The way we saw from the phone app, it will ask driver to first select the tractor that they're taking or the truck that they're taking, so they'll be able to check it for all the current ones that are selected. These are the current 2 tractors that are created under the portal. That means when drivers logs in, these are the 2 that will appear for them to select from. If you need to create more than one, then you can just click on new there. It will just ask you to put the truck number, VIN number, plate, and registration state for the license plate, and then once you fill out that information, it will create the tractor for them, and then drivers can select this as one of their tractors, or they can also do it from the app. They can create one themselves. So if you needed to create any notification for drivers to get reminded of something, you can come up here and create those notifications. So home base will be just the carrier name. The type of notifications that you can notify drivers of are some of the ones that are already created, including HOS violations and DVIR, no pre-trip before. So a different kind of notifications that you can create for drivers, and you can also send an email to more than one people. It doesn't just have to be one. So this is how the logs would look like. It will cover the information for the driver, their carrier name, the user ID, VIN number, all the information that you would require, the total distance, kilometers, all the carrier related information. Then this will be right here. We're going to show you a kind of a graphic representation of the logs. If you click on this dots here, if you hover over it, it will tell you the date and time, the duty status, and the truck information. Over here as well, you'll be able to see the off-duty time or each status's hours. Coming up down includes the summary of the events that took place for driver's log. So all the ones, as you can see, it's showing on duty, then off duty, driving, all those. Once drivers certified this, you'll be able to edit those. So if there was any edit required, you would just click on the pencil sign there, and then you would just update the duty statuses for driver. Select the date and time, location, and pre-mark. And once you hit on save, it will going to generate a log edit request where driver will going to receive a notification into the app saying either you accept it or reject it. Once driver accepts that change, then it will update the logs for driver. If you go down here, it will going to show all the notes or comments that driver kept in. So you know how it says pre-trip, going to nearest area, so it's probably just taking they are taking a personal use time. All these comments is what you'll be able to see, and all the geolocations at the time for the driver. If you need to export the logs, if you need to download the logs, you would click on the export ELD file. You will select the kind of week worth of logs or month worth of logs, and you would just select the driver for whom you are trying to get the log. Just need to put comments and click on save and export, and it will export the logs for the driver. And you can also do it as a PDF by clicking on the display logs. If on any vehicle, if there were any mileages that were was not counted by any driver, was not logged by any driver, you'll be able to find those under here. If there were any log edits requested, then you'll be able to find those under this section here. Next one here is the dashboard. It will kind of give you a hybrid dashboard with the current status of the company, with how many uncertified records are there, how many violations, the number of ELD compliances that they currently have. The next one here, it kind of gives you a report for all the drivers and their current duty statuses. So if you run this report, you'll be able to find out who got more hours, and that's how you'll be able to assign correct work to correct driver. The ones that you're seeing in green means they are well under their current schedules. If you're seeing anything under yellow or red, that means that the drivers are reaching violations or they have already reached some of the violations. You'll be able to see their current status, their last position, as well as when this was last updated, and their duty statuses as well. You'll be able to just run a quick report and find out what all the drivers are doing and where are they in terms of the hours and in terms of the current cycle. If there were any violation for any driver, you'll be able to also run a report for that. So just click on violation, select the driver for which you are trying to get the report, and you'll be able to see what violation that they're reaching. And it will also have the timestamp, so the last updated time and date, and the violation that they are reaching. You can also kind of download it as a PDF, and you can also have this signed up by driver as a record. So the DVIR would be the similar way that we saw from the phone app, that the driver would be able to do the DVIR. It will look the similar way as we saw earlier, and it will have both their carrier name information, the driver's information, and this report can also be exported as we saw from the PDF. This is a useful feature if you ever need to look into the logs for a specific driver, and you can run it for either automatically recorded logs, or you'll be able to filter by either if the logs were edited or entered by a driver manually. So let's just run for automatic recording logs, and once you click on execute, it will bring up all the logs. D stands for driving, so this basically shows that this driver was automatically switched to driving at this moment, at that time. And again, with the app, currently if the driver goes 32 kilometers per hour or over 32 kilometers, then their app should be automatically switching them to a driving duty status. So whenever they are doing a yard move, it's necessary or it's important that they run within a lesser speed than 32 kilometers per hour. And if they need to find out any logs that were edited and entered by the driver, they can also just run a quick report for that. And this is basically shows that the driver kept himself on off duty at this moment at that time, on duty slipper and certified. That means this is the time when driver certified the logs. So all of those activities, whatever the driver's doing, you'll be able to just search it here. Here you'll be also able to create one from the admin portal. Again, it includes the delivery and pickup time. Again, useful if you are doing a kind of pickup delivery and you are doing deloads. Okay, there is also engine diagnostic report. So if any driver struggled with connecting devices, you'll be able to come in here and kind of run a report for that, and you'll be able to find out what devices are having any connection issues.